We generate ideas individually. We can generate ideas individually. Now, they germinate from inside our own heads. But if you think about innovation, it's not just about generating ideas. It's also about executing them. That very, very rarely happens in isolation. To do that, we need a team. And whether you are a solo entrepreneur working on your own, whether you're a CEO of a global corporation, we need to do this as a team. And therefore, we need to be leaders in order to bring this innovation to life. At the end of events like this, I'm often asked to sort of sum up, to pull together these common themes, bring together the golden threads, and pick out the sort of messages that you find throughout all of the speakers. So, at the start of the day, we ask this sort of question. How can we lead our people to spot the opportunities, to identify the problems, and to find these really innovative solutions? In my experience, I've watched many, many teams who are navigating uncertainty. And I've looked at the sort of common characteristics that those teams have got. There are 3 ingredients that I continually see in teams who are brilliant at navigating uncertainty. Firstly, they are aligned. Secondly, they are empowered. And thirdly, they are engaged. Now, these words sound simple, but actually when you dig under the surface, you don't actually see them that often because they're not necessarily easy to do. I'm going to sort of pick them off one by one. Let's start with aligned. I just want to show you the impact of being aligned or not in a sort of physical way. So, I know it's been a long day and I know you've only just had your coffee and all that sort of stuff, but would you please stand up and face in the direction that you think is north? Face where you think north is. Interesting. We got people facing all over the place, as you'd expect. Now, if I said to you, walk 100 meters in the direction that you're currently facing, at the end of the 100 meters, how far apart would we all be? Quite a long way. What about if I said walk a mile in the direction that you're facing, how far apart would we be? Quite a long way apart. Here's the problem. Feel free to sit down again. Here's the problem. If we said to our team, we're heading north. If I just said to you, team, we're heading north, how far away are we after 100 meters even? And that's the problem. It's easy to say we need to be aligned, we all need to head north, but unless we know what that actually means, we end up in different places. Now, in a business, you obviously don't walk 100 meters or walk a mile, but there's a passage of time, and over time we make decisions. Are those decisions aligned to our strategy and our vision and our purpose? Are they taking us in the same direction, or are they taking us off in completely different directions? This is the essence of us being aligned. Do we genuinely understand our passion and our vision and our purpose and our strategy? Do we all understand how we can contribute to that? Do we understand what decisions that align to it look like? The truth is, in most organizations, people don't want to make bad decisions. They don't want to make decisions that take us off in different directions. They're making decisions that look right from their perspective, but we haven't given them the bigger picture. And because of that, they don't really know which direction they're heading in at all, or whether it's in our direction or not. So we absolutely need to be aligned. This is, in its own right, incredibly important, but it's also the foundation of empowerment. So to be empowered, again, it sounds simple, it's a really easy word to say, but there are very few organizations that genuinely do empower their people. Empowerment, first of all, requires more than permission. It requires more than us just saying, you've got the ability to make the decision, off you go. It also requires confidence. And I have a little, very simple benchmark for empowerment. It's the point where we're confident that you can do it without us, and you're confident you don't need us. When we've got that, we've got empowerment, but not really until we've got that. So the question is, if we understand that confidence comes from evidence, the question is, how do we build the evidence that allows us both to understand that you can do this without me? You don't need me anymore. You go and make the decisions. You go and solve the problem. You go and lead it. How do we get to that point of confidence? This is a question I asked a friend of mine. I mentioned him earlier to you. His name's Brendan. He was a clip around the world yacht skipper, victorious clip around the world yacht skipper. Really interesting thing about the Clipper race. It's an 11-month round-the-world race. Brendan, as the skipper, is the only professional sailor on the boat. Everyone else is an amateur. Many of them have never even stepped on a boat before they go on the Clipper race. He knows, as the skipper, that if If he goes overboard, if he's holding all of the knowledge, if he's the only one who knows how to sail the boat, he's holding all the knowledge and he gets washed overboard, that's a disaster waiting to happen. The crew have to be able to sail the boat without him, at least to a safe port of call. So he needs to empower them to be able to do this thing without him. He needs to empower their skills so they can change sails, absolutely, but it's more than that. Which sails need changing? When do they need changing? If we're taking that one down, which one are we putting up? How do we know? He has to empower their decision making. So I asked him, I said, how do you get the decision making from you to them? How does it happen? He said, well, it's really simple actually. We make the decisions together for a while. And then they know how I make the decision. I know how they make their decisions. You know, they know which information I use, how I assess risks, how I weigh up variables. You know, they know all of that stuff. We look at sail change charts together. Therefore, I know that they can make a great decision. They're confident they can make a great decision. Off we go. And from his point of view, it does a couple of brilliant things. It liberates his headspace so that he can go and get some sleep. He doesn't have to be on deck 24 hours a day. He can get some sleep. He can come back fresh. He can be a better leader. But also, he can start to focus on the really important things on the boat, the really strategic things on the boat, the things that he should be focused on as the skipper, not how to change sails. That's day-to-day stuff that the crew should be able to do without him. So empowering your team's absolutely critical. And you might have noticed Joe say, you know, what would you have done differently? I'd have been more strategic. If you want to be more strategic, this is one of the absolute staples. So that's alignment and empowerment. The third one is engagement, not that kind of engagement, this kind of engagement. Why are we doing this? Why is it important? Why does it matter? We have to understand why it matters. You probably picked up from Andy's presentation, very first thing this morning. He had a team of people who were clearing a desert who were not trained. You know, why were they going to do it? Why were they going to make sure that every tiny stone and rock was cleared away from that piece of desert? If you think about it, it's a bit of a thankless task. Why are they going to invest themselves into doing that? Because it makes a difference to them. The question really is not, why is it important to you? It's, why is it important to them? Why would they care about it? Why would they invest themselves into it? Because if we understand that, now we start to really truly understand engagement. So for me, there are some simple questions, very simple questions that we can start to ask to unlock the creative powers of our team. What are we trying to achieve? What direction are we trying to move in? This helps everybody to understand where we're trying to go and how, what direction we're looking to move in. Why is it important? And how can we do it? I'm a huge believer. I've watched many world-class leaders at work and listened to them. I notice that world-class leaders very rarely give answers, but they do ask great questions. And their great questions unlock the creative problem-solving power of their team, unlock that entrepreneurial potential in their team. Really well-directed questions. But what comes with it, which Mark alluded to just now, is what I call the power of naivety. The power to say, I don't know, I haven't got the answer. Not walking in with a preconceived answer and trying to shoehorn your people into finding it, not that. But genuinely the ability to step back and say, I don't know, where could we go with this? I mentioned my friend Floyd earlier, former SAS major. He often walks in and he might have a plan and he'll say, I've done a starter for 10 thinking on this, but enhance the plan. The point is I want to take away the best plan in the world. If we rip this one up, I'm not bothered. I just don't want to walk in with a bad plan. So together, here, now, let's create the best plan we possibly can. That's that power of naivety, the power to say, I don't know. So all of this can start to help us unlock the creative problem-solving power of the team. But when we hit the tough stuff, I think we need another ingredient. And you'll have seen this ingredient and heard it from all of our speakers across the day. When they hit the tough stuff, there's some special sauce that's required. It's another dimension. It's character. It's characteristics like tenacity, like resilience, like persistence, like determination. It's all of those sorts of things. But it's also self-awareness, and it's honesty, and it's the courage to ask for help. It's that stuff. That's the special sauce. This is why I spend so much of my time helping organizations recruit on character and develop character in people. Because from my point of view, this is one of those base ingredients for success, particularly if we're going through the tough stuff. We need character. It also helps us to bridge a gap that many people struggle with. We know what to do, but we don't necessarily do it. How do we bridge this gap between knowing and doing? For me, what lives between those two, knowing and doing, is being. And that's where character comes in. If we know something, in order to do it, we need to be different. We need to develop some characteristics in ourselves, usually, or develop them in our people. That's the missing link often. And that's the bit that we need to bridge. On this subject of knowing and doing, at events like this, I know lots of people write pages and pages full of notes, and they leave the building with the very best of intentions and all of the notes. Some of them they've even underlined, they might have asterisks, they've got exclamation marks next to. They leave with the very best of intentions and then do absolutely nothing with them. They live in a drawer, they gather dust, they might think back in 3-4 weeks' time, oh yeah, I went to that conference. But often they go nowhere. People also leave these sorts of events and they think, I've heard some of that stuff before. That maybe isn't new. This could be true for you guys today. You might have heard some of this stuff before. Honestly, none of it's absolute rocket science. The question isn't, have you heard it or did you know it before you came in? The question is, are you doing it? Are you doing it consistently? That's the real question. One of the myths around world-class performance, and I've spent 20 plus years in and around world-class environments with world-class performers and leaders and teams and organizations. The myth always around world-class performance is that they know something we don't. That's the myth. The truth is they know exactly the same stuff that we know. The difference is they do it and they do it consistently. So the last thing I want to share with you is almost like a plea. Please don't leave this stuff in the room. Please take it away with you. Please squeeze every ounce of value you possibly can from it. You've spent your time getting here. It's cost money to get here. Get the return on your investment by actually applying this stuff. Take it out, use it, gain the value from it. Because that's the point. That's the reason to come, learn, and be involved in these sorts of things. If you do, there's a huge prize at the end of it. You will start to really harness entrepreneurial thinking, and you will really drive your entrepreneurial leadership. So on that note, I will say thank you very much.